What we doctors, in fact, call a tiger.
Hi, Tony here, and welcome to the first video of 2019, and may I take the opportunity to wish you all a happy new year. I've had a Triumph Tiger XRT on loan from Triumph for a little while to test out, and I was going to bring you a review of this bike as a standalone review. However, as I've already done a review of the XCA, and essentially the engine and drivetrain on these bikes are identical, I thought I would do a comparison between the XR and the XC models, and I've done that as fair as I can by using the XCA and the XRT, which are both the top of the range models in the respective class. The reason I thought I'd do the video this way around is because when I purchased the XCA and mentioned that at the end of the review video, quite a few people in the comments and since have asked me why it was I chose the XC over the XR. Now obviously choosing between the two bikes is down to personal choice and it is very subjective, so I'll try to keep that out of the review and just look at what the differences are. So let's start by having a quick look around the bikes. The first thing you'll notice about the bike is the treatment of the front end. You've got a big beak on the XC version and a small stubby one on the XR, and a slightly different treatment to the front mudguards as well, with a body coloured one on the road going version. You've also got smaller cast wheels as opposed to the spoke wheels. The XCA comes standard with a chunky aluminium bash guard and the engine guards as well. The XR has to make do with the standard plastic sump guard and no engine guard or bar protection whatsoever. The rear brakes and shifters are identical on both bikes, but the XR has these narrower, more road focused pegs, as well as a centre stand standard. The XC has the wider, chunkier foot pegs. These are really comfortable, really good for standing up on, and the XCA also comes fitted as standard with a centre stand. Auxiliary LED running lights are standard on both of the bikes. These are a really nice addition. In fact, both bikes have LED lighting all around, including the indicators. For me, the XC is the better looking of the two bikes, but it is a little bit taller. The XC in its lowest position is 840mm, the XR in its lower position is 810mm. Okay, so you can see what's different in the spec of the bikes. The real difference is going to come from being out on the road. Now, I've not done a back-to-back with these bikes on the video. If you want to go and see what I thought of the XCA, you can go away and do that. There's a link in the end credits, and I'll stick a link up here as well. The footage you're about to see is all recorded in the XRT, and are my thoughts on that bike, and also some comparisons to what I'd already reviewed on the XCA. Let's take a look.
So the main differences on this bike is it has a different suspension setup. So instead of the WP forks at the front, this has Showa adjustable forks, so you've still got the adjustments that you have on the XCA, so the rebound and the compression damping is adjustable. You've got less travel though, obviously, and that means that the bike itself has got a smaller standover height, and I'll put the measurements on the screen because I can't quite remember what they are. Now I'm 5'10", I've got a 32-inch inseam. On the XCA, I ride that with the seat in the lower position, and I'm pretty comfortable. I can pretty much flat foot that. On this bike, I can flat foot with a bent knee in that position, so I've been riding this with the seat in the higher of the two positions. Gives me a little bit more legroom in terms of less bend. Obviously the other main difference with this bike is it's running cast wheels, and this has a 19-inch front wheel as opposed to the 21-inch on the XCA. And that 19-inch front wheel is shod with a 190/19 tyre, in this case the Metzeler Tourance Pro, and the other tyre on the XCA is a 90/90/21. Now the question is, does that front wheel make any difference? And yes, it does. I wouldn't say it's massive, I wouldn't say it's night and day in terms of the handling, but it is a bit sharper, it turns in quicker, it feels a bit more direct, as you would expect on this road going focus. So I'm not really going to start pushing this bike around. As you can see, I've come out into the country lanes where it's a little bit quieter, but the conditions are not great. It's rained overnight. It's just started raining again. It's about 8 degrees temperature wise, so it's not particularly cold. I'm not going to have to worry about frost or anything, but there is a lot of mud and crap on the road. I'm in the middle of bends and stuff, so I'll save sort of seeing how, or showing you how this handles differently. But I have to say, not a great deal of difference. The bike does feel physically smaller. I don't think the risers are quite as high on this bike as they are on the XC bike, so that makes a difference in the handlebars feel a little bit lower. It may not be, that just might be me thinking that they are. No, I'm not going to go up there because that's pretty crappy at the best of times. One of the first things I noticed when I jumped on the bike is that the mirrors compared to the XA didn't give me as much vision, and I'll measure them, but I suspect it's because these bars are slightly narrower. There's a few changes obviously, but this being more road focused, that maybe will be one of them. Now on the XCA they put the much broader, wider off-road pegs, which are great, really comfortable, fantastic for standing up. But they haven't made, or Triumph haven't made any adjustment to the length of the shifter with those, so you just end up getting an inch or half an inch less room between the peg and the shifter. So there's one problem that I don't suffer on with this bike that I did on the other one. Outside of that, there's not really a lot to say in terms of the difference of the bike. The gearing and everything, the engine tune is all exactly the same. The setup on here, with the exception of the off-road pro mode that you have on the XCA, which allows you to turn everything off, but this still has an off-road mode which loses the ABS on the back wheel, and also affects the traction control, so it will allow the rear wheel to spin 50% faster than the front wheel, so that you're not losing power by the traction control kicking in when you might need it, but you also, it's not allowing that rear wheel to just spin up out of control. Now, one thing I have noticed about the handling is that with the smaller front wheel it might be a little bit sharp. I don't think the cast wheel is going to make any difference to the feel, but certainly the suspension is a little bit harsher on this bike. It's not a horrible ride, don't get me wrong, it's harsher than the XCA. And obviously you want that if you want the bike to be a little bit sharper and a little bit stiffer, but I think the ride, certainly on these type of roads, suffers a little bit for that, and I've found this to be harsher. Again, I've not played around with any of the settings on this, but just in general on these bumpy roads that I'm riding, I find the XCA has a better ride quality. Admittedly it's softer, but that's kind of exactly what I want in this in terms of comfort, and that's one of the reasons that I picked the XCA over this. When I first rode this, I really liked it, and I thought, well, this could be enough. My ambitions are to ride more off-road, but I suspect that this bike with the right tyres will still do more than I would ever require it to do. But the XCA, when I jumped on that, just felt a little bit smoother, a little bit nicer. But the XRT is certainly not scrimping in terms of extras. It does have that heated seat for the pillion and for the rider. You've got your heated grips, you've got the adjustable screen. The addition of these deflectors here I think helps with the wind in terms of that. I've not got, but I'm wearing the helmet with the peak here. I'm having no issues with buffeting at all on the bike at the moment, so again, you could ride this comfortably all day. The Tiger 800 XRT is a beautiful bike to ride. It is comfortable, it is quick, it is slick, it is smooth. That flat torque curve that you get from this triple engine is fantastic, so you get that pull in pretty much whatever gear you want, and if you've got a nice windy bit of road, you can just leave it in third or fourth or fifth, even as I've done, and just ride it like an automatic, and it'll deal with it, and you can just whip yourself through those bends without having to worry the shifter at all. There are a few commentators that say it's an 800, it is smooth, but at 800 to 94 horsepower it's not enough and you need a bit more than that. Well, let's have a look and see. I'm on a airfield road here. Let's just have a see what this picks up like. Well, do you need any faster than that? I don't think you do. I'll happily forgive some extra horsepower for the lightness and the nimbleness that I get from this bike. And I did read an interesting interview with Guy Martin in Adventure Bike Rider magazine, who has a Tiger 800, and he said, yep, 100 horsepower is about as much as you want. You've got about 115, maybe 120 miles per hour out of it, but you don't need that. And he's got a friend with a 1290 Adventure from KTM, and to quote Guy, he just says it's too fast, it's too bloody fast, and I'm with him on that one. Okay, so back out on the bike again, a bit of a sunnier day than last time, and I just want to give you some impressions now. I've had more time on the bike and indeed have got some longer journeys under my belt. Now, I did a trip a week or so ago up to Nottingham to see a friend, and the weather was a bit like it was today, so I thought I'd take the bike. Now, that round trip to Nottingham, taking in the scenic route on the way back, was just a smidge under 300 miles, and so that was the longest single day journey I've taken on this bike, and the bike handled it really well. It was a good mix of roads, some motorway work, some A roads. I sorted out some country lanes, I had some riding in town to do, and the bike behaved impeccably, stable at speed, and very manoeuvrable. No problems with the bike at all. I would be more than happy to use this for long all-day rides. Comfort-wise, I still like the plushness of the XCA. I'm not saying that this bike isn't plush, but it's got more of a road focus. But the difference between the two bikes isn't night and day at all, and it's really down to what you prefer and how you want to ride. If you know you're going to spend all your time on the tarmac, then the XRT is a great bike to go for. If you're a little bit shorter in the leg or a little bit shorter in stature, then the lower XRT might be something that actually pips you at the post. For me, I've got ambitions of riding my Tiger and taking it a little bit further off the road than I would be happy to do so now. I'm going to go and get myself some training. I think I might go and visit the Triumph Adventure Centre and have a go at that. So for me, the XCA gave me that ability to be able to do that. I also like the looks. I don't mind the size of it. In the lower seat position, I'm more than happy on that bike. It's horses for courses, really. To be honest, whichever bike you choose in the Tiger range, you're not going to be disappointed with it at all. They've all got this fabulous triple engine, which is just an absolute peach, and then it's down to what level of equipment you want on the bike and how much you want to spend in terms of how far up the range you go. So in terms of the review for this Triumph Tiger XRT, I think I've pretty much exhausted everything else. There's not really much else I can find to say about the bike. It works well around town, it works well around the country lanes, it's good for long journeys, it's comfortable, you've got good protection. There isn't really much else that I can cover off on that. But if you do have any questions, you know where to put them. Same with any comments. If there's anything that I've missed out, if there's anything you want to add to that, then just let me know. I hope the video has been of interest and I hope it's been useful. And until next time, I just want to say thanks for watching, take care, ride safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.